Hello to all my friends and welcome back for the second video in my American Girl of the Year deep dive. If you're watching this, you're my friend now. Even if you hate watching, you're my friend now too. This time, I'm going to talk about Lila Monetti, the 2024 Girl of the Year. When I first had the idea to do a deep dive into these dolls, Lila was the current Girl of the Year and I wanted to do my first video about her. So I went on American Girl's website and I bought an outfit and the book, and the only book that they had for Lila on the website was Lila Goes for Gold. So I start reading it and I very quickly realized that it's not the first book. Page 4. Amelia exaggerates sometimes, but she was sort of right about this. Hollyhock had spooked around dogs and almost got sent away from camp. Mr. Benson, the camp owner, let me help train her and get her over her fear. But riding Hollyhock had helped me get over my fear of falling off the high bar too. So I figured we were even. That's recapping book 1. This is not book 1. So that was when I did a little bit more digging and found that Lila came with a journal, and the journal turns out is not skippable. But I'll come back to that when I talk about the book. I was not about to buy a second doll just so I could have a book to make a video for YouTube. I only want Jennifer. If you're looking at Jennifer and thinking that's not Lila, you're right. This is Jennifer. She's my doll. She's wearing Lila's outfit for the sake of the video. She was a birth miss gift in, I think, 2007, maybe 2006. Do not do the math for how old that makes me. I did eventually, though, get my hands on a copy of Lila's journal after setting alerts on eBay, trolling every Facebook resale group, Mercari. Finally, somebody listed it on Mercari and I paid too much in shipping. But it got here, so we're going to talk about Lila. So Lila was the 2024 Girl of the Year. She was released in October of 2023 because remember, we're doing the fiscal year. Lila has light skin with freckles, light brown hair with highlights, a center part, and slightly curly hair with the Josefina face mold. Lila's birthday is May 6, 2014, and she lives in St. Paul, Minnesota. Rise up, Midwest girlies. We'll talk about her collection really quick. Every doll comes with a meat outfit. Lady Gaga, get out of here. Lila's meat outfit is a tank top, sweatpants, sandals, 2 bracelets, and hair tie. This outfit is only available with the doll, just like the journal. Jennifer is wearing Lila's gymnastics practice outfit. This was my favorite from her collection, so that's why I picked this one. Oh, you have a visible tag, girlfriend. Who let you out? Who let you out of the house? So she has a pink and orange leotard, her orange sweatshirt that says gymnastics that does not show up well on camera, orange shorts, scrunchie, and then pink sandals. I think when they made the doll slightly skinnier, because I have a chunky Pleasant Company doll, I think they might have made the feet bigger because these do not stay on Jennifer's feet. If you have Lila or a more recent doll, I would love to know if the sandals actually stay on your doll's feet. The leotard brand is actually GK, and they made the leotards for the Olympics gymnastics team for 2024. The logo's on it. This was also available in girls' sizes. Lila also has a gymnastics competition outfit, a horseback riding outfit, and pajamas. For accessories, there's a set that goes with her meat outfit. It has a crossbody bag, phone, sunglasses, hair ties, hair jewels, and a little book for doing hair. I tried to put Jennifer's hair in French braids. It's relevant to Lila's story, and it's so hard to braid doll hair. I think my braids turned out okay. Hers are a little whack. Her gymnastics practice bag and gymnastics equipment. There's a corgi, a horse, and a stable set. American Girl sure loves horses. Are you gonna sit there and bark, or are you gonna calm down? Lila's books were written by Erin Falligant and illustrated by Vivian Toe. There are 2 advisors listed for this book, Sarah Nelson, who's a gymnastics coach and judge, and Ted Marthy, director of a horse camp and director of an association to certify horseback riding instructors. And then the part that was really exciting for a lot of people is that Lila's gymnastics coach and former babysitter, is McKenna Brooks, who was the 2012 Girl of the Year. And honestly, if we're going to reuse gymnastics horse girl, we might as well have the first one here too. I think that by giving Lila has 3 interests: hair, horses, and gymnastics. And by giving her 2 out of 3 are the same as somebody else's, it was smart to have McKenna there because she was going to be compared to her no matter what. So we meet Lila in her journal. McKenna gave her the journal and she tells us about where she lives. Her house is super old, so they're always doing repairs. This never comes up again. Her mom is a nurse and her dad is a psychologist and kind of hot. Finally, a hot dad. So her gymnastics plotline. Lila loves gymnastics and McKenna convinced her to switch to the gym that McKenna works at. So McKenna's in college to be an elementary school teacher, and I've decided that she's on the college gymnastics team. She probably isn't and doesn't have time for that, but I enjoy going to college gymnastics meets, so I'm making up this lore for her. But she works at a gym that's more competitive than the one Lila went to, so she convinces her to switch gyms. And right now she's on the silver team. She wants to be on the gold team. She explains the skills that she needs to get. And then she lists her 5 favorite things about her best friend, Katie. And Katie tells Lila her favorite things about Lila. She puts them in the journal. But Lila's having kind of a hard time right now because she doesn't know very many people at the gym. There's 2 other girls that she's in her classes with, Avery and Amelia. And Avery is very serious and comes off as rude a lot. And Amelia is just super dramatic. And she's struggling without Katie there. So her dad tells her to try to make friends and just understand that they're not going to replace Katie. It's okay to have more than one friend. They play some get to know you games at gymnastics, and she learns that Amelia is dramatic because she's anxious and had broken her ankle last year, and that Avery is the oldest of 5, so she's bossy because she's an oldest sister. That was tough, kid. Avery keeps giving Lila corrections, and I do coach kids. Remember, I teach dance, and I hate when kids correct other kids. So this plotline with Avery honestly makes me kind of mad. Avery gives Lila corrections on bars, and it freaks her out. Horse camp. We'll come back to that. Lila tells McKenna that she's going to go to horse camp, so McKenna gives her drills. She goes to horse camp in the morning and then gymnastics in the evening for a while, and is really worn out from camp, so she falls off the bars at rehearsal. She falls off the bars at practice and has a hard time regulating herself, getting her emotions back in check without Katie there. The next time she goes to gymnastics, she wears her favorite leotard and puts gems in her hair to try to hype herself up, and Avery's kind of rude to her about it, so she just gives her space. But Avery's voice becomes the negative voice in Lila's head, so she texts her friend Katie about it. Oh my god. Brody wants back in. 1 second. Oh, that's a good spot for you, Mr. Man. Brody's back. I don't know what he barked at in the yard. Probably the neighbor. So she texts Katie, and Katie does not gas her up and tells her she should just go back to her old gym. And Lila doesn't feel supported by that. She actually feels like Katie wants her to fail, which, not a good friend. I had a hard time deciding where to put this plot point, so I'm just going to put it here. And it's that at horse camp, Lila falls off of a horse and hurts her shoulder, and she doesn't tell Katie about it because she doesn't want to be told I told you so, and then she has to sit out at gymnastics, which is just really frustrating for her. And McKenna's planning for the season with Lila on the gold team, but Lila doesn't think she's actually good enough to move up a level. Avery picks at Lila again. Lila tells her to get lost, and McKenna has to defuse the situation. McKenna really is a pretty good coach, I think. So she texts Katie, and it doesn't go well, but Avery does apologize. And Lila asks her to give her compliments too, not just corrections. But Amelia has become a pretty good friend and gasses her up. McKenna hears Lila say she doesn't think she's ready for gold, so then Lila just word vomits to McKenna. I'm glad she trusts her that much. Having the bond from babysitter to coach is a good thing for her. And the advice McKenna gives her, and it horse camp again, is that hollyhock is a plant that won't flower until its 2nd year because it isn't ready, and she'll bloom when she's ready. And then gives her other advice for building her confidence and making friends, but Lila just doesn't feel like she has enough time before end of horse camp, I'll explain, and before the season starts. Avery does follow through on being more complimentary and takes advice from Amelia about saying her anxieties out loud, and her team gasses her up. On to the horse camp. Honestly, horse camp is most of this book. So she has a younger brother named Jack, and he's going to go to horse camp, and he is nearsighted. I personally prefer nervous-sighted from My Little Pony, but nearsighted is what they're going with in this one. He was going to go with his friend, but now his friend can't go, so Lila's going to go in the open spot, and Katie is jealous because she wanted to go with Lila and can't. And now she's anxious about doing both because going to horse camp takes time away from being able to practice gymnastics. She makes a pros and cons list of going to horse camp, and Katie adds a lot of cons because she doesn't want Lila to go without her. Katie's weirdly possessive, which in Lila Goes for Gold, her being this possessive all summer to do what she does in book 2. I know they're 10, but come on, girlfriend. Amelia from gymnastics is in Lila's group at horse camp, and they meet a horse named Hollyhock who's having a hard time as the new girl. So Lila really sees a lot of herself in Hollyhock and bonds a lot to her. It feels a little bit parasocial, we can admit that. They ride horses the first day. She tells us about the different horses there. He explains the important parts of horseback riding, says that gymnasts make good riders. She grooms Hollyhock. She loves to do hair, so her favorite part of horse camp is doing Hollyhock's hair. She's struggling to find friends and decides that she wants to be the first camper to ride Hollyhock and has to prove that she's good with the other horses to be able to go on the new horse. And then there's a heading, because there's a bunch of headings. It's a little bit bullet journaling. She has like little doodles and stuff that says Tuesday afternoon, which means she brought her journal to horse camp. Weird choice. Can't say I would do that. She does a good job riding a naughty horse, so she did prove herself ready to ride other horses, and thinks that Amelia is annoyingly stressy. Teaches us how to draw a horse. Here's my attempt. Parents' Day is set for the end of camp, and guess which horse she wants to ride. I feel like if you took a shot every time I said Hollyhock, you'd have alcohol poisoning. Amelia is jealous about Hollyhock, but Lila decides to be nice and let her friend take a turn even though she doesn't want to, but then Hollyhock gets nipped by another horse and is spooked, and it freaks Amelia out really bad, so they trade horses. They have a trail ride coming up. A dog runs into the trail and spooks Hollyhock, and Lila falls off. Remember I told you she hurt her shoulder. And the camp director thinks Hollyhock might not be ready for riders, which, yeah, maybe. There's a corgi that lives at the horse place, and if Hollyhock can't be around horses without freaking out, maybe she isn't ready. Amelia tells Lila that she heard about a horse at another camp that had to be sent away. So for now, Hollyhock's only going to be ridden by experienced riders while they train her out of spooking, and Lila doesn't count as experienced. So she says goodbye and asks if she can help train because she feels like it's her fault, and they do let her help train Hollyhock. She learns to give off calm energy to help keep the horse calm. Hollyhock gets better and better, and then she can ride her again. It's Parents' Day now, so Lila does her own hair, Amelia's hair, and Hollyhock's hair. She feels like Amelia is her friend now, but isn't sure where she stands with Katie. Her little brother helps her stay calm. Katie comes to Parents' Day, which is nice at least. Hollyhock does great. Katie took a video and said she understands why Lila likes horse camp and admits it's hard for her to see Lila like and try new things without her. And Lila says they'll always be best friends, and then she missed Katie, and the horse can stay at the camp. So now we're in Lila Goes for Gold. This book opens with Lila at gymnastics practice. She's still a little nervous about falling off the bar, so McKenna's spotting her. We're reintroduced to her teammate, and this time Katie has switched gyms to be at the one that Lila is at, and 5th grade is starting soon. There's also there's like one other new girl and an assistant coach. Katie does not take Avery's corrections well at all, and chooses to just be like a silly goose and make a joke out of it, make Lila laugh, and they have to be sent on their own to not be a distraction to everybody else. Lila goes to gymnastics on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, but Katie doesn't do Saturdays. Horse related, her foot had gotten stepped on, and she didn't break her toe, but it's still really purple. And her nurse mom lets her go to gymnastics. Katie paints her toenails purple so her pinky toe looks less noticeable. And she has a rough practice because of her injury. And she falls, and then they see her purple toe and think she broke her toe. So they bench her, and she's unhappy about it because everybody else is learning their floor routines. But she has to wait until next week. Katie goofs off to her song, so McKenna makes her do the routine. Avery nitpicks, and that just pisses Katie off. And then Lila doesn't tell Katie that Avery was wrong, so now Katie is mad at Lila. She learns her floor routine to a country song. She still needs help with her back handspring. Like, the skill she's working on this whole time is going to be her back handspring. She worries that if she doesn't get the skill, she won't be on the gold team. She doesn't think that gymnastics is as fun without Katie there on Saturday. They do a mock meet and Katie is like crazy nervous. Lila gets a medal on vault and bars, and Katie gets no medals and leaves right away. The mock meet was to decide what team they're going to be on, and Lila makes gold. Her nervous energy did kind of make her blow up a little bit. She didn't stick her landings, but she had a better practice after. And Katie is happy for Lila, at least. At practice, they recap their meet. Lila forgets her water bottle, and when she goes to get it, she overhears McKenna talking to the assistant coach Sawyer that she misses her family and wants to go home. And obviously Lila tells Katie, so they brainstorm ways to try to get McKenna to stay in Minneapolis. And they decide to be like surrogate sisters because they know McKenna has younger sisters and invite her to come with them to the fall harvest at the place where Hollyhock is. Horse girls. While they're there, McKenna says that she used to do matching hair with her sisters, and guess who loves hair? So Lila does McKenna's, Katie's, and her hair to match. At gymnastics practice, Lila gets her back handspring by herself. Katie and Avery butt heads again, and then Katie lets the cat out of the bag that McKenna wants to go home and everybody's upset. So McKenna explains that her grandma's sick, so she's having a hard time being away from home. She's not going to leave yet, so everyone can just keep working. On Thursday, Lila gets to practice, and McKenna's not there because her grandma needed surgery, so she went home, and the assistant coach Sawyer is in charge. Everybody's like low-key rude to her and convinced that she can't coach them, especially Avery, who says that she's just an assistant coach and decides that she'll coach the team at the meet if McKenna can't make it. I'd be pissed. I'd be so mad if I was Sawyer or McKenna, either of them. So she starts coaching during practice, and it makes Katie furious. So Katie tells Lila that Avery's way too intense, and Lila says that's not how Avery means it. Katie storms off and stops replying to any of Lila's texts. But things seem okay by Tuesday. They still have rough practices without McKenna. And then Katie just snaps and says that Avery is too competitive and only cares about scores and placement. Avery says that Katie's only there to hang out with Lila and that she's holding the whole team back. So Lila tries to calm Katie down by explaining Avery's perspective, and Katie just takes it as Lila taking Avery's side. So she leaves and Lila cries in the bathroom. And then there's friendship stuff that I'm going to come back to that happens. They do make up, come up with some team bonding stuff, and decide that what we need is more fun. But Avery's not super into fun, and Lila tells her it helps other people do better when they're not stressed. So Avery agrees to be on board. Lila is still struggling with her round-off back handspring a little bit and asks Avery for help. But after Katie yelling at Avery, she's hesitant to give advice. But then Lila says, like, I am flat out asking you for help. So help me. Thank you. She does everybody's hair for the meet and does her best to keep Katie calm. Katie and Avery have a nice moment. There's no fighting. Lila feels like she's doing pretty good on her floor routine. She nails her round-off back handspring and then just says she does her aerial because aerials are easy. I can't relate. I did take tumbling classes when I was a dancer, and I had my back handspring, and I thought that one was way easier. Aerials scared me. They were hard. I remember practicing them one time, and the hard part was getting enough height, and I landed weird and smacked my face into my knee, and couldn't do them. After that, scared myself out of it. But McKenna comes to the meet just a little bit late. She got second on floor and third on bars. Katie got 2 medals. And Lila's not worried that they're drifting apart anymore because they always find their way back to each other. Okay, horses. Did you forget that there were horses? There's horses. Lila brings Katie to see Hollyhock, and she's been accepted into the herd. They groom Hollyhock, startles and steps backwards and steps on Lila's toe. It's not broken, but it hurts really bad, and that's why it was purple at rehearsal. I keep saying rehearsal. At practice. That day where they take McKenna to the horse place, Honeycrisp Hill. Katie isn't interested in going horseback riding, so she stays and plays with Baby Goat. They ride horses on the trail. It is the same trail that Lila got thrown off the horse, so she's a little bit nervous, but she does fine. And she's having a hard time with Katie not liking horses. And that's it for actually interacting with the horse. Thank God. I don't like the horse storylines. Maybe it's because I'm not a horse girl, but they're just not it for me. So here's the Katie plot lines. So they live 5 blocks apart and they'll ride bikes to each other's houses. And when she goes to Katie's room, it's a different color. And she feels weird that there's something she doesn't know about Katie and that they're out of step right now. But Lila's really excited that she's going to go to her gymnastics gym. They plan a Halloween costume and Lila feels weird that they don't both love competing. Like anytime there's something that Lila likes but Katie doesn't, Lila feels weird. We never really hear if Katie has other interests that Lila doesn't have and how Lila feels about it. It's just that she's upset that Katie doesn't like what she likes. They decide to wear a 2-person horse costume for Halloween and paint it to look like Hollyhock. But if you remember, only one person here likes horses. Katie likes the baby goat. So they make the decision, they get the costume, they try it on. Lila doesn't feel like painting it yet because she wants to practice gymnastics in her yard. And Katie doesn't. She thinks all Lila cares about now is scores and not doing it fun anymore. I mean, I'm surprised she outright said it to her. But of course, they paint the costume. There are no pictures of the costume in the book. They make candy bags for trick-or-treating because Katie doesn't want to practice gymnastics again. I mean, I think if you're driven to practice a sport, practice. I think we can parallel play a little bit here, Katie. And then Katie won't talk to her at school and doesn't want to wear the costume anymore. And this is all happening the day before Halloween. Harsh. So now Lila doesn't want to trick-or-treat. But her mom's working and dad says that one person has to stay to hand out candy and one person has to take the little brother trick-or-treating. So she just goes in last year's costume. And I wrote that this is my favorite picture in the book. I guess it is. Thank you, note taker Bailey. She sees Katie in matching costumes with another classmate. And she goes home to cry. That's so... Katie, what the hell? What are you doing? Normally they do French braids every Friday. That's why I did my French braids. Only Lila shows up to school with braids. Her mom comforts her and she tries to come up with a way to get Katie to talk to her. And there's like a baby goat thing coming up at Honeycrisp Hill. So Lila tells her about it and decides to skip gymnastics to hang out with Katie. Don't love that. The goat thing goes fine. They have an apology tour where Lila apologizes for not being very much fun lately. And Katie apologizes for ditching Lila. Thank God. Lila doesn't apologize for being serious about gymnastics, but does recognize that it might not be as much fun for Katie anymore. And apologizes for, I guess, taking Avery's side. But Katie admits that Avery was right. She only joined to hang out with Lila. And thinks maybe she should quit if she's holding back the team. But Lila says, don't quit. They think, what would McKenna do? And then they have a sleepover to brainstorm ways to not be so nervous. And that's when they come up with like the team bonding stuff. And then we go to the gymnastics meet. So normally in these books, there's a profile of a girl similar to the Girl of the Year. But instead, it's a profile on McKenna from back when she was Girl of the Year. Lila interviews her, which is really cute. But the art styles are so different that it's a little bit jarring. I think it's always fun to see where the girls end up because, like, you read these books when you're 10 and then you grow up, but they stay frozen in time. So just seeing where did they end up? How did life progress for them is very fun. There's also what I'm pretty sure is an excerpt from the sports and fitness book, but there's tips on being a good teammate and leader. There's discussion questions. I'll ask a question, and if you want to boost my engagement, comment your answer. Some of the gymnasts get nervous at the meet. Lila feels a burst of energy that fuels her routine. Katie gets the hiccups. Amelia talks a lot. What do you do when you feel nervous? How do you calm your nerves? When I feel nervous, I go everywhere really fast. I just power walk or run everywhere. And to help myself calm down, I take deep breaths and squeeze my muscles really tight. And go review whatever info it is I need to know for this thing. And also show up places very early. So my thoughts on Lila. I think she's fine. I think she's a pretty average 10-year-old, but this is yet another rich girl with rich girl interests. Like, gymnastics is expensive. Horses are expensive. I think the return of McKenna was a fun gimmick. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you're gonna do the same thing, at least it's fine that she's here because she will be compared. So at least she's like in a mentor role. Hair as a special interest is cute because the dolls come with hair that you do. I mean, I tend not to do Jennifer's hair. I'm so scared that the hair is going to fall out of her wig and then her ponytail is going to be as like thin and skinny as mine gets. Oh my god, her neck string has been out this whole time. If you were staring at it the whole video, please pretend you weren't. Like, Jennifer has a sticky eye, and I'm scared that all of her hair is going to fall out. She really is just like me if our hair is falling out. Having different interests from your friends comes up a lot in the American Girl books, and I'm sure it helps kids understand that part of growing up. But I felt so bad when Katie ditched Lila. Like, I read a couple of the other books, and I don't think there's ever like a moment that hit so close to how I felt as a 10-year-old that made me this angry, or like so firmly on the girl of the year side. I don't think anybody else's friends, at least in the books that I've read, do anything quite as mean as fully ditching on a 2-person costume and then trick-or-treating in the same neighborhood. Why didn't Katie go to the friends' neighborhood? They live close enough that they would see each other trick-or-treating. Mean. I think she wanted Lila to see her. But I am glad that Katie got a bigger role in the second book, because in the journal, it kind of felt like she kept saying Katie was her best friend, but we never saw anything to support it. If I had to guess who I think Lila's best friend is, I would pick Amelia. Okay, and then this is like real talk. My biggest critique of Lila is that the books need to be available without buying a doll. These dolls are luxury goods. $125 for a doll is crazy. Like, Jennifer was birthday and Christmas gift. This was the only gift I got that year. Like, yes, my birthday is very close to Christmas, but still, I got one gift that year, and it's Jennifer. And I have friends, I know people who, like, it was never an option. They never got an American Girl doll. But the way that you could engage with the brand was through the books. And they taught history, for the historical ones. For the modern ones, it's like things for interacting with your friends. And if we are going to say that American Girl is taking steps for inclusion, that needs to be available to everyone, and that means having the books be available separately from the dolls. If the way that you engage with the brand is going to the library and reading the books, like I did, they were all in my school's library, then how is my school going to buy a doll so that they can get a book? It's not fair. And I think it's honestly garbage that American Girl did that. Do better, American Girl. They haven't since. With this year's Girl, I could get the book separate from the doll, the journal, but it made me mad. So, time to wrap up this video. Outros are so hard. I want to give a special thank you to the American Girl Wiki. I got a lot of photos and info from there. Next time I do an American Girl video, it's going to be about Kavi Sharma, and there is something I can't wait to share with you guys. So if you've made it to the end of my video, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!